Hey everybody, Clay Archer, CEO, DVC Technology, and I've got an awesome one today. Today I'm going to review the new AI turret and the new AI dome. These are two cameras I've been dying to get my hands on, so we're going to do a quick unboxing. We're going to throw them up on the rig. We're going to test them at day. We're going to test them at night. We're going to test them inside. We're going to test them outside. We're going to compare them to the Ultra Turret and the Ultra Dome, and we're also going to compare them to the AI Pro with Image Enhancer. I think those are the cameras that are the most similar to these two units, and at the end we're going to decide which camera is right for you. So without any further mumbling, let's jump into the unboxing. So you can see here it's very typical, beautiful, unified packaging. Sean's unpacking the AI turret first. Really pretty. The first thing I noticed though was the substantial size difference between it and the Turret Ultra. It's probably twice the size and quite a bit heavier. It feels more massive than the AI turret does. It comes with the same kind of grommet system that you got on the AI turret, which is nice for weatherproofing it. It's a very similar, if not identical, dongle to the AI turret, and it's got the same little gaskets. The base plate is much more substantial as well. It's pretty meaty, and it's got 4 screw holes in it. As I mentioned, the dongle on the bottom of the unit is identical to the one on the Ultra turret. It also comes with a set of different grommets to weatherproof the Cat 6 cable coming in through to connect it back to the PoE switch. It's the same system that was used in the Ultra turret. Very well done, very easy to install. Just for size from comparison, here is a Turret Ultra next to the AI turret. You can see it's quite a substantial difference in size and weight, but very similar systems here. One of the features that everybody's been interested in is the included microSD slot. It does not come with a microSD card, and it is accessed through a panel on the backside of the turret. You have a little hex key that comes included in the packaging. Remove this little door, and you have a reset button and your microSD slot. I put a 256 microSD card that I had lying around, and I will test that a little bit later in the video and show you how those videos look when you take them out of there. The purpose of the slot, and it's included on the dome as well, is that if you do lose connection to your NVR for any reason, the camera still will record to the card internally. So you won't miss any recordings while the NVR is either down because it's down or down because you're doing an update or something along those lines. Another nice feature of the base is there's actually a little retaining lock. So if you take out the grommet that's in there and you bring the cable out to the side, there's actually a little lever that you push to lock the cable in place, and then it acts as a tether so that you cannot drop the camera. Nice little feature, well executed. I don't see any tamper proofing, but this would be a very difficult unit to tamper with from afar. I don't see an alarm or anything if you do take it off of the base. But with that, let's go on to the AI dome. A very similar packaging to the AI turret. Very nice, typical Unifi packaging. One thing I will say right off the bat is, again, the size difference between this and kind of the bulk of this versus a normal dome is quite apparent right off the bat. The other thing about it is the shroud that covers it really does make this a lot more tamper-proof or tamper-resistant than the previous model. Same grommets and dongle system that came in the AI turret. Just like the AI turret, it does have a little slot on the side of the base of the unit to take the pigtail and take it out of the side of the unit if you did want to flush mount it against the wall. The dome is much more sturdily constructed than the Ultra Dome. As a matter of fact, I think the build quality of this is as rugged as the AI turret is, meaning I'd have no problem with putting this outside. It is really a rugged unit. There are 2 buttons on the side that you push to release the unit from its base station. If it is snug against the wall and you can't push those buttons, you use that typical Unifi tool, the flat Unifi tool, to push those buttons in to release the unit from its base. And the cover that goes on it is really nice because it really enhances the tamper-proofness of this unit, meaning it's very difficult for you to get inside of the unit with it on without having a key to release the top. The base of this unit is plastic as opposed to the metal base of the turret. Just like the AI turret, there's a door on the side that you can use with the included key to open and have access to your microSD card and your reset button, just like the other unit. You can also take the top of the dome off if you like with 3 regular Phillips head screwdrivers. It is affixed to the base of the unit with a tether, which is really nice. And the reason that you would take off the dome is they've added a really cool feature. You know, I've complained over the years about fogging. We are in a very humid part of Florida, and you get fogging on these cameras from time to time. So they've included two moisture absorbing desiccant packets that you put in the backside of the dome here to stop that from happening. What happens when you introduce these cameras to this high humidity environment, they start to fog up, and they fog up for 3 or 4 days until they kind of equalize with the environment, but these desiccant packages will just stop that from happening. Obviously, you have to do this installation yourself because if they did it at the factory, they would already be full with moisture by the time they got to you. So, it's a pretty simple process. You take off the dome with the 3 Phillips head screws, and then you put in these packets just as it says in the instructions. They fit right behind the camera. Even though this is an extra step, I'm glad to see that they're addressing this issue. And one last thing, I just wanted to show you the size difference between the Ultra Dome and the AI Dome. It's again very stark difference in size and kind of weight as well. This dome I actually have in the low profile mount, but you can see it is considerably smaller in every way than the new one. One other thing to mention on the Ultra Dome is that it has the non-weatherproof pigtail, and it does not have the pigtail that the Ultra turret, the AI turret, and the AI Dome all have, which is that nicer system with the nicer grommets. So one thing that's nicer about it is it's actually easier to get it through a smaller hole than it is with the Turret Ultra's pigtail. Now that we've got them unboxed, let's throw them up on the test rig and put them through their paces. All right, so I'll roll some B-roll of Daniel and getting that installed to the test board, and I'll go over the specs for the new AI turret and the AI dome. So the AI turret comes in at $499. It's an all-weather, vandal-proof 4K PoE plus turret camera with enhanced AI capabilities in IR and visible LEDs for night vision. It's 4K 8 megapixel video resolution, ultra wide viewing angle, 109.9 degrees. It's 40 meters, 131 feet of IR night vision, advanced AI face and license plate recognition. So those stats are the same for both cameras. The turret has integrated LED spotlight for color night vision, far field microphone array for 2-way audio, microSD card support for edge recording that needs to be 64 gigabytes. It connects and power using PoE plus, whereas the dome is only PoE, and it's weatherproof for outdoor exposure. And that's an IP66 rating. I'll put all those details in the link down in the description. And that brings us to the AI Dome. It too is $499. It's an all-weather, vandal-proof 4K PoE dome camera with enhanced AI capabilities and long-range IR night vision. As I said before, it's got a 4K 8 megapixel video resolution, ultra-wide viewing angle of 109.9 degrees. It's got 40 meters or 131 feet of IR night vision. It's got advanced AI face and license plate recognition. It records audio with integrated microphones. It's got a micro SD card for edge recording. Again, a 64 gigabyte card. It connects and power using regular PoE. It too is weatherproof for outdoor exposure. On the dome, you have 3 additional mounting options. There's a flush mount for $39, a camera weather shield for $29, and a dual mount for $59. On the turret, there's no other accessories except for the dual camera mount for $59. Another really nice feature of these cameras is the adapters they come with. So I ordered all 3 of them. The first one is the AI Dome flush mount kit. It's really nice, just a 2-piece kit here. It's got the little tabs to recess into the drywall. It replaces the dome around the front of it, and it's just a direct replacement. There's no hardware in here. You pop out the dome security cover that comes with it, and then you pop in this, and it fits right into the recessed mount perfectly. That's a cool little add-on for $39 to make your install look really clean and recess the camera up inside of the ceiling. The next one that's probably going to be the most popular for me is the dual camera mount. It comes in several different pieces here, but basically this is a mount that goes against the wall. It also comes with a pole mount adapter to mount 2 cameras facing the opposite direction of each other. It comes with a little base pole, and that screws in with a little retaining nut to the unit itself. It also has a little plastic anti-tamper cover to keep it from getting unscrewed, and then a little retaining bolt and a retaining bolt to kind of lock it down when you put the 2 pieces together. It also has a little threaded screw on the side of it that you can tighten down to keep the 2 pieces from coming apart. This is $59, and I think for that, it's pretty fair to be able to mount 2 cameras pointing in opposite directions. Finally, we have the AI Dome camera weather shield. This is a pretty simple device. It just replaces the cover that comes on the AI Dome with a new one that has this weather protecting, and also looks like a little bit of a sun shield on it as well. I think if you are going to put one of these on the outside of your building for $29, I think this makes a pretty nice accessory for your device. All right, so let's jump into the software real quick. You can see already that in my Jaxi VR, the 2 new cameras were detected. We've got the AI Dome and the AI Turret. I'm going to click here to adopt each one of these. Okay, so I got the cameras acquired. Let's go to the cameras themselves and kind of go through their setup. So I'm going to go to the AI Dome first here, and you can see it's got this regular status and everything, just like normal. It also says insert an SD card to activate edge recording for recording some backups. I will do that, and I will test that out tomorrow. So anyways, let's go to recording settings here. We've got always, custom schedule or never. We can go continuous or events only. I've got it on continuous. Create motion events. We want that for sure. Seconds of motion needed to trigger detection. We're going to go 1 second there. Seconds to record before event, seconds to record after event. We'll leave those just with a standard 2 seconds. We can turn them up a little bit. Why not? Um, Create events for animal, face, license plate, person, and vehicle. That's everything we've got there. I'll select them all. Edit video detection types. We're going to head click there. All of them are selected, and we're going to leave those on. That's baby crying, barking, car alarm, car horn, CO2 alarm, glass breakage, siren, smoke alarm, speaking, and we'll keep that select all. Second before AI detection, second after. Yeah, we'll turn it up a little bit. Why not? And recording quality, I'm leaving all this on auto. You could come in here and change it if you wanted to. I'm gonna leave it all on auto. Compression, leave it on auto. Encoding, I'm gonna leave it on standard. Recording resolution, we're gonna leave it 4K. Overlay information, I'm gonna turn that off. And recording retention, there's auto. We've got detection and privacy zones. I could add zones to each one of these. Just click on it and you add zones. You've probably seen that before, but we could change a zone. We could move it around. We could add a new zone, and we can change the sensitivity inside of that zone. So I'm going to leave that back to where it is. If you want to add more points to make a more complex shapes, you just click in between the existing shape. So basically the thought process here is if you only wanted to see stuff moving in your driveway per se, let's say, so you could just drag this around so that it just covered your driveway and didn't get those cars in the background. So that's pretty simple. It's pretty normal. You can add another zone and have multiple zones. All cool. I would love it for these sub detection zones to be options in Alert Manager. I'm assuming it once someday they will be so that you could do an if then of saying, so like you could say, I want an alert in this zone, but not in that zone, and do a kind of an if then in Alert Manager. But that's for another video. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel there because I don't care about those. I'm gonna discard them. Crossing line, so if you wanted a line, if somebody crosses this line here, which would be a good line just as it is, it would let us know, and you could choose the direction one way or the other, or both ways. Or you could also do animal, person, vehicle, and you can have it count detections. I'm gonna actually save that just for fun. And then I'm gonna add privacy zones. This is areas where it will not detect. So you could go, I'll pick a privacy zone here. The if then statement that I kind of said before, if I don't want you to record here, but I do want you to record there, would work for the alert manager that I talked about before. But I would like there to be able to choose a bunch of these different zones as sub zones in Alert Manager. Again, a discussion for another video. And then we'll go into the settings itself, and I could change the name of it, which I would. Can turn the microphone all the way up. You can turn on noise reduction, and it says filter excessive ambient noise for cleaner audio, recommended for cameras installed in windy locations, which would probably be fine. Disable permanently is awesome for areas where you don't want audio recordings or you can't have audio recordings. But as it says here, if once disabled, you must reset the camera if you wish to re-enable it. So once you just turn it off, the camera will not do it. You got night vision on auto or custom. I've got them on custom right now because I'm filming this video and I don't want all of the IR emitters to turn on and blow it out. So each one of these I've got on custom, but and I've set the trigger to 0. You could set the trigger to always on or always off, or set the sensitivity and lux from basically 0 all the way up to 30 plus. So there you go. I'm gonna leave that trigger off. Camera has a status light on it, and you can turn it on or off. So you can create tags for the cameras. You can share the live stream. You can set your notification settings, but again, now these are going to be set up in Alert Manager, which is awesome. We have 22 alarms applied to this device. Cool. I could create more ones if I wanted to. And this just brings me over into Alarm Manager, which, like before, I was saying on an activity, if I go motion, I would love an option there to choose some of those sub motions. So if I made multiple motions on a particular camera, to be able to do that. Anyways, here it automatically chose my AI dome, which is cool there. I'm gonna discard those. I'm gonna go back in to the camera itself. You can change the resolution for the real-time streaming protocol, and I can manage here and restart or remove it if I wanted to move it to a different machine. So very similar on the AI turret. We'll go through it real quick. Same information on the front page. Same thing to add an SD card if you want to check out those recordings. I will do that tomorrow. And very, very similar settings all the way across the board here. So with that, let's go ahead and get these outside and start the test. All right, so I got those cameras adopted. I made a new view here to get all 4 cameras up together. You have the AI dome, the AI turret, the AI Pro with enhancer, and the G5 Ultra turret. And I will say all of these images are really, really good. I can tell just barely that this is not quite as nice of an image. You look in this area here of the original Ultra turret, and then that same area here with the AI turret. It definitely can resolve a little bit more detail in that far in those far items. Also, I just put Daniel in here just to show you what he looks like in the screen. He looks pretty crisp in all of these. You can see we're a little bit off axis here. He's doing a little adjustment on one of them, but just amazing images here. Wow, just absolutely stunning. Sorry, we're way up on your face there, Daniel, but you look good. So there you go. This is the AI Pro, which is a little bit off axis here, and you can see I'm a little bit less uh, towards him there. These definitely look a little richer too, if you're looking just at the image quality. Obviously, I'm looking at this straight out of camera now. There is no, I've not done any tweaking to the image. This is just as they've been adopted and the way they look. So you can see these are just really, really sharp, and they look really, really good there. So I'll let Daniel finish what he's doing there and get out of our way here so we can continue with the testing. First impressions is that this dome and this turret during the daylight look a little bit more color rich. Look at the AI Pro with the detail in those bushes. Really, really good looking cameras here. I'm going to go in on these and go ahead and turn on all the detections so that they're going to do overlays. I'll do that for all of them. You will see that with the AI Pro, I am getting this one extra one, which is distance. It's got the built-in radar, so that is going to be a plus if you're looking for the AI Pro over the AI Pro turret or the AI Pro dome. Pretty incredible. You can see these are nailing it. Daniel's putting away the ladder. It is the end of the day here. I am going to do my night testing here tonight, but first impressions, is this an order of magnitude improvement over the Ultra turret? Probably not. This is a really good image. But when you do them back to back, it's just this detail that is just so much sharper on the AI version than the Ultra version. And of course, I'm getting all of the extra detections here. Let's talk about the field of views real quick. It's kind of hard to get a perfect one-to-one because these are slightly off axis from each other. But, you can see here, I'm into this window. I'm over to Daniel's Jeep, a little bit past Daniel's Jeep. This is, of course, digital zoom. Very similar. I'm at the edge a little bit more here, but I think that field of view I would call almost identical. The Ultra, it's got a little bit narrower field of view. I'm just barely in over here, and then I'm not to the edge of Daniel's Jeep. The regular AI Pro with image enhancer, I'm not going to call this one because I'm way over here to the left. It's harder to get this one on perfect axis with the others because it sticks out a little bit further, and they're not exactly the same build. Obviously this is can twist on its axis as well. So all of the turrets and the dome are just at a 90-degree angle to the board that they're on, and this has some freedom. So I'm not going to call that right now. I'm going to say undetermined on that, but definitely the two AI dome and the AI turret are wider than the turret ultra. Again, I don't know if any of this is game changing. That's a really nice image out of the turret ultra, at a fraction of the cost of these. So, I've mentioned this a bunch of times, and I'll probably say it 4 or 5 times in this video as I film. I think this would be a perfect instance where you might mix and match these, where maybe on the corner of the building where you want to get detections, you put this AI turret where you want to see facial and license plate recognition. But where you don't necessarily need that level of those AI detections, just get your regular detections on this AI turret, motion and that kind of stuff, and you'd be totally fine with that. So, obviously budgets are gonna determine where people are gonna use all of these cameras. But my first impressions though here at Dusk is that the AI turret and the AI dome are definitely higher image quality, and they definitely are a sharper, nicer looking image. And I've got the AI detections, which is nice. So we got that going for us. Well, I'm gonna wait for it to get a little darker. Tomorrow during the daytime, I will, I'll let this fill in here. I'll let the parking lot fill in, see if we grab any license plates as people come in tomorrow. But I'm going to stay here tonight. We're going to take a look and see what things look like when it is dark out. Quick observation, this is completely unscientific, but as I'm sitting here waiting for it to get really dark, I went ahead and positioned my car in the driveway, just kind of put it in the front of the frame. And you'll notice that all three cameras, the Dome, the AI Pro, and the AI Turret, all got that detection, But the only one that got the license plate was the AI turret. And as they're sitting right now, they're in a pretty similar configuration. I will give that the AI Pro may be a little off axis, but I think that was a pretty fair fight with all three of them. And the only one under detections that got it was the AI turret. Obviously, I'm in Florida. It's a little hard to do license plate detection because we only have rear license plates. And in this location, most people don't back in. I will continue this test through the next couple of days, obviously, and see what kind of detections that we get. But in this case, side by side by side, only one of the three, this is the same incident on all three of these cameras, only one of the three got it. Now, all three of them detected that it was a vehicle and, got the recording, but only one of them, the AI turret, knew that it was a license plate and that it's correctly my license plate. So take that for what it's worth, completely unscientific. And they're, up there on the board, and there is a little bit of difference between them, but use your own eyes here and say, is that enough difference to see one versus the other? I also made that pretty easy on the cameras. I kind of backed in a way that my license plate was facing a little bit more towards the camera than you normally would. But I thought that they would all be pretty similar. But in this instance, the AI turret was the best of the bunch. One more quick observation. Obviously, the AI Pro is zoomed out here. But if I do zoom in with the AI Pro to 3 times zoom, it too relatively easily grabs that license plate. I think I have to zoom out a little bit there. You're not gonna see that in this until I move a little bit more, but when that's in focus and it's moving, if I go back to the detections after zooming in, it now grabbed that as my license plate. So obviously, if you're zoomed in, you can see here I was zoomed in there as well. It's going to recognize that license plate. That's obviously going to be the difference between the AI Pro and the turret and the dome is that you have that zoom. So if you really did want to do license plate detections in an area with the power of the zoom, it is actually going to beat the others. So obviously, most people that are buying the AI Pro know that it has zoom, but just pointing it out that with its zoom, it's much more capable than either of the other cameras. So with the magic of YouTube, we'll snap our fingers and it will be dark. The one big difference with the cameras, other than their form factor, if I go back into night vision and I turn it on, you'll see there's this color night vision enhancer, and I can turn off spotlight after no motion for a certain amount of time. What's cool about this, and I'll hover over the info, is the camera's spotlight will colorize nighttime detection recordings. It lights up when an object is detected in a specific detection zone. Please note the spotlight's range is 4 meters. So if somebody walks along this path, it's going to turn on the color night vision enhancer, which is going to make it have a color type of night vision at night. I don't have anybody up here tonight, but tomorrow night when I'm testing indoors, I will leave this camera up and I'll have Margaret walk in front of it just to show you what that looks like. Now I'm going to do a quick comparison of all the different cameras in with IR off at night. Again, there are some limitations in my parking lot because there is so much ambient light. Some's coming from inside the building, some's coming from the lights across the street. You just saw some car lights go in front of the parking lot. I'm actually getting new lights in the parking lot, so both of the light poles are down. So there's absolutely no light in my parking lot at all, but there is light coming from the building behind. You can see the shadow here around the edge of that building. Take that for what it's worth. You can see it's really dark in the night sky, although these cameras are so sensitive, they just pick up this kind of city glow. But you can see these are 4 really nice images. I kind of like this image better than I do the infrared image. You can see the blue light on the front reflection from the front of the Ultra turret, which is next to this one on the awning there. But these are really nice, crisp images. The thing about this is they do get a little noisy. It's hard to kind of see, but if you zoom in on stuff, once you zoom in, you can see there's a lot of noise and grainy there. But that being said, I almost prefer this image over the IR image. I will also say, look at how good the Turret Ultra looks. As I'm playing with these cameras, it is obvious that they are nicer. They look nicer than the Turret Ultra, but the Turret Ultra, for what it costs, man, that's a really good image. That's a really good image. I mean, it's grainy. It's probably more grainy. You can see the sharpness and like the lights of that car going by, and obviously the detections and stuff. This is just a sharper image on the AI turret, but man, for the price difference, this is still just a real big winner in my books. I think this is just a standout camera. I loved it when it came out, and I still love that camera. The difference between the AI turret and the AI dome, I'm not seeing that much difference. I really honestly, for me, it's coming down to that form factor. I will, like I said, I'll have Margaret come up with me tomorrow night when I test the inside, and I'll have her walk back and forth here with Sketch just to see what the AI image enhancer looks like at night. I think the color vision at night is gonna be obviously nicer with that spotlight. Unfortunately, I didn't have anybody that stayed late tonight to test with, so I'll do that tomorrow night, but first impressions there, really nice. I'm trying to pixel peep and see which one's better. I mean, I think this AI Pro, that looks really good. But then I look at this and I'm like, that looks really good too. I don't know. I think it's a toss up. It really is a toss up on which one has the best image quality at night. Let's go ahead and we'll turn on the IR for each one of them. I'm not a biggest fan of the IR look. Obviously, too, it will glow around things that are close to it. This is on that board, and you get a little bit of a glow from that board. You probably would identify people a little bit better with this IR, on. Caveat here is that, all of them are seeing the IR emitters from all of them here. At this distance, it probably isn't making that big of a difference, although this one may with the AI Pro and its color vision enhancer. They all look pretty similar. I'm getting a little bit of a halo here, but that's the reason I'm getting that little bit of halo there is the AI Pro with the image enhancer is right next to this, and I think it's just casting a little bit back on it. You typically would not be right, have these emitters right next to each other, but really good images on all of them. I will say the AI Pro may still be the winner on both of those images for me. And again, this Turret Ultra, man, it's definitely not as good as the others, but shoot, for the money, I mean, we're talking a percentage here. Or I'm sorry about this fringe on here. It's just the other cameras next to it, so that's not really a fair fight. Uh, Maybe I'll adjust that a little bit tomorrow night and see if I can get that a little bit off of there. But if you're comparing the two of them, you're thinking, "Hey, am I gonna buy one or the other?" I think the zoom function here is probably gonna change things for people. And I can, even at night, at this angle, I can read my license plate there. And I can read it really clearly, 03ERJ. So that gives you a little bit of tuning ability with the AI Pro, which I think is gonna be an advantage for people. But the field of the view of the dome and the turret, if that's the field of view that you're looking for, I don't think there's much in any of these images. The more I look at them, the more they look the same. I can tell, and I don't know how this is gonna translate on YouTube. I can tell a little bit, like in the details of the fine grasses here and stuff, that it's not quite as sharp as this image, but I don't know how that's gonna translate. And these are all in their default settings now. This is what it would look like at night. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this turret up outside. I actually have 2 of the turrets, and I'm gonna test another one inside tomorrow night. I think both of these images are really nice. I'm gonna really quickly go back to turning off night vision. So that's one last view here. If I had to pick the best image here, I would say the dome and the turret to me, honestly, I can't pick out between the two of them. The turret did detect my license plate a little bit better than the dome did, but man, I think that might be a little bit of just positioning or that kind of stuff. These 2 images to me are almost identical. The Turret Ultra, I really like this image a lot. It's more grainy. I don't know how that's gonna translate on YouTube, but there's just more grain in it, but it does a great job at translating the light that is there. I feel like I can see almost just as much on it as I can the others. And the AI Pro, I think for me is gonna be my winner by, just a small bit. You can see here a little bit in the fore-up, there's just a little bit more quality of the image. You can also see how it's kinda well, the other ones don't see the sky as much, but you can see how it's pulling light out of the sky that's not there. That's just lights up the street that's pulling, kinda city lights. But it's really close. I think you got 4 really good options here. I think, my standout right now is the Turret Ultra. If you don't need the AI, it's a heck of a deal. But the Pro is holding its own, and the Turret and the Dome feel like a couple different form factors that are doing just a really standout job. And tomorrow we'll put it through paces during the day. We'll see if it recognizes any license plates. We'll test the sound quality, do that other stuff before we bring them inside tomorrow. Test them inside during the daytime and during nighttime as well. So Mallory brought the eye chart out front, and I have her talking, and we're gonna do a quick little sound test. It is not super super loud. This is the AI Dome. Let's go ahead and I will switch over. Actually, let me turn off the audio in the AI Dome. Let's just talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's nice. I can hear that decently. This is the AI turret, and I will go into the AI dome. Definitely softer in the AI dome. It's really hard to do these on YouTube because things kind of don't translate perfectly, but I will go on to the AI Pro. I will definitely say the AI Pro wins there. Maybe a little bit extra ambient noise as well on the AI Pro. I will tell you that I'm going to probably give this to, it's between the AI turret and the AI Pro, which makes a lot of sense. They both have the array mics and whatnot. So I go to the original turret. It's very similar to the AI dome. I'm not overly impressed ever by any of the mics, but I think if I was looking for a mic, I would definitely go with the Pro or the turret, AI turret. That being said, I've not tried to adjust these volumes at all or do anything with that. And your mileage may vary a little bit, but obviously, if you're looking for sound, I think either of those cameras will be better for you. All right, now we're done with that sound test. Let's go into some pixel peeping here. Obviously, none of these are really zoom cameras per se, but I put the eye chart, and that's probably a good, I don't know, 15 feet away, maybe 20 feet away. A pretty distant image. I'm having to do digital zoom here. I'm at 240% there, and I can see F, FP, TOZ, LT. It starts to be hard at that point down there on the fourth line. Obviously it's completely unscientific, but it gives you an idea. And I'm assuming because this is the same sensor, this will look pretty much the same. So let's go down to the fourth line for 240. I will say I'm seeing a little bit further in there. That's LPED or LP. Yeah, I can start to make them out. I feel like I'm at the eye doctor guessing a little bit. But I feel like maybe there's just a little in that. I mean, they both have the same sensor, so it really wouldn't make that much sense. Maybe the dome is a little bit harder to see through than the plastic case. I don't know. But they're very similar. Maybe a little bit better for the turret. Now I'm going to go in and I'll zoom in. Let's zoom in. And you can see I definitely, a whole other couple lines down. FEC, FD, PE. Anyways, I'm getting down another line where I can guess it, probably even another line still. And I'm only halfway through my resolution there because I didn't put the eye chart right in the center of the field of view for this particular camera. But let's go to the cheaper ultra turret and we'll go to 240 there. Still, struggling a little bit more there. I get the first three, and that's about it. Again, I think this ultra turret is hitting way above its weight for the price and the quality of the image that you're getting out of it. But it is a step beyond. It's just, you can't fight the laws of physics there. Optics are what optics are. You have a bigger sensor, you're letting in more light, and you're going to get more resolution there. So that's it for my completely unscientific. I'll zoom in one more last time to show you the difference while you got it fresh in mind. You can feel free to go backwards and forwards in the video here and double check what you got there. A little bit better. I don't know that it's 1,000 times better than the Ultra there, but definitely better. And then if I go back out and I'll do it one more time with the turret. That last one was the dome, and this is the turret. The turret definitely looks better than the dome to me. I don't know, why that is. They use the same sensor, but I definitely feel like I've got a little bit more, and I can even zoom in a little bit more, and still keep more. The E and the F and the P and the DOZ look a lot better. So, anyways, for my money, I would say first shot there is going to be on the AI Pro just because it's got the zoom and obviously that is a cheat code that the others just can't offer. But then from there I would say let me just go in on the AI Pro and just do digital without any optical and see what that looks like in comparison. It looks pretty similar to the other ones. Let me change that positioning just a little bit. Yeah, pretty similar there. But obviously the cheat code here is that I've got optical zoom, and as soon as you go to a couple times optical zoom. It's just a different ball game. That's my pixel peeping for what it's worth. Obviously that's a little bit ridiculous because people aren't really trying to get down to that level. I think overall, you look at this kind of image here. Obviously, the detecting people is pretty similar along all of them. They do a really nice job of it. There's some vividness to these two newer sensors that I think is nice. I have not modified anything on any of these cameras, but you can see just down in the details. I don't know. It's pretty close. Honestly, at this level, good image out of the Ultra, but it falls a little short of the others as far as image quality goes. Of course it does. It's just a smaller sensor. That is my completely unscientific view during the day, my completely unscientific view of the sound. Hopefully the YouTube compression doesn't do anything too funky to you so that you can get in there. I would say, for me that the real gains are going to be in small details like these bushes. You just the detail in that bush compared to the detail in the bush on the Ultra, it's just it's just there's more data in there to see. That being said, on the outside, is the image quality going to change my decision on any of these cameras? And I would probably say no. I think it's going to come down to form factor and budget. Obviously, the Ultra is hitting way above its weight class here, and it's holding its own against these much more expensive and nicer cameras. The Dome is a really great camera, but I think for outside, with the floodlight, the microphone array, turret form factor, I think is probably would have me leaning towards the turret for sure outside at 499. And if I needed to do the zoom on a certain area, I definitely think the AI Pro with the Vision Enhancer is the choice. If you don't need detections everywhere, I've said this multiple times. I think for outside, I would probably pepper in a little bit of everything here. So if it was me, I would go with some Turret Ultras in spots where I didn't necessarily need facial or license plate recognition. I just needed basic detections and a good quality image. And where I needed license plate and AI detection, I'd probably go with the turret. And if I needed to zoom in a little bit because I was a little bit of a distance, I would go with the AI Pro with the image enhancer. I do think the dome aesthetically is nice and it probably would fit in certain places outside. As a matter of fact, I believe this dome long term will go in under the awning over there underneath the front area. It's weatherproof. It's good up there. I actually have a G5 dome in that location right now, and I'm going to replace it with this AI dome, which will give me facial recognition of people coming and going. So those are my considerations. Take it for what it's worth. So that kind of sums up my outside experience. Let's go ahead and bring the cameras inside. All right, so now it's the next day, and you can see we put all the cameras up inside of the office. What I've got here is I've got the AI dome, I've got the AI turret, I've got the G5 turret Ultra, I've got the G5 dome Ultra, and in this one, we'll see it rotate back and forth. I also have just a regular G4 dome. I'm gonna go in real quick and we're gonna pick some people. I've got the eye chart up in here in Jared's cubicle here just to give us an example. So you can see Daniel's at his desk. He's going to be my assistant here tonight. You can see it's identifying him as a person. I'll zoom in on the eye chart. I have really no problem seeing down into row 6 for sure. E, D, F, G, E, F. No problem there. We'll zoom back out again. Daniel's going to walk around a little bit just to be a model there. If I go into the turret, very similar here on the turret. Let me make sure I've got all of my detections turned on there. You can see that his face there. You can see here on the AI turret, though, it's pretty much comparable to the AI dome. I don't know there's much in it for the difference between the two of them. Again, I'm getting down to the 6th, 7th line here with pretty good accuracy. Definitely a good looking camera. Let's compare it to some of the older stuff. The one that I've been raving about lately is this G5 turret. Let's go ahead and zoom in and pixel peep on it as well. I'm 6.7 as well. I mean, it's just a really good camera, especially when you got enough light to feed it. In that form factor is really good. So as always, the G5 Ultra turret is impressing me. You can see that it's 95% face accuracy and that it's getting his face. Same thing with the AI dome. And we'll go over to the G4 dome just to go back. Actually, this is G4 dome Ultra. It just switched on me really quickly. You can see on the G4 dome Ultra, it's starting to fall down here. I'm probably more in the 5.6 range. And then switch over to the G4 dome, and I'm in the 6 zone. I mean, a good image there. Not nothing that I would complain about on either of those. I think the Dome Ultra is a little bit better than the original Dome. You can also see with the original Dome, the colors aren't quite as accurate. It's a little bit bluer. This is straight out of the camera. I just did a reset on all these cameras. As far as field of view goes, they're all very similar. It's hard to get this exactly right in the rig because they're, you twist them just a little bit and they get off a camber there. But, if I was looking for an indoor camera, I think all of these at this point are really good options. If you need the detections, I think the AI turret and the AI dome during the day obviously give you that extra oomph there. And obviously, if I go into recognitions here, you're going to see that it's seeing those Daniel shots on the AI turret there. Just put it in recognition. So this is him outside putting it in earlier today. So everything is there's working as I would expect it to work. In these conditions, of course, you would think that these would all do well. I think the determining factor here is going to be form factor, it's going to be price, then it's going to be whether you need those AI detections or not. So let's go ahead and we're going to turn off all the lights and we're going to see what it looks like in the dark. All right, so we've turned off all the lights here, and truth be told, it's very difficult for us to get this office super dark because there are obviously a bunch of different devices that have phantom light on. We have an always on light in the front of the office, and you can see over here to the right, that's actually my office where I'm filming this video. So I need to have the lights on to film the video, but this is pretty dark. If you walked across the room right now, you would trip if there was something on the floor in front of you. You wouldn't be able to see it. First impressions, they all look really good. To me, as I first look at them, I think the turret, AI turret, is the clear winner for me. The dome is great for a dome, but you can see there's always just a little tiny bit of a haze on a dome. That's just part of having a piece of glass in front of the camera there. You get that kind of milkier glow there. Not that it's horrible. I think that's really awesome, and I don't think anybody would complain about it. But you can see on the domes, they're just a little less crisp than these two turrets are. The Ultra turret, as always, seems to be a really a good option. You can actually see me talking here in the corner. That's crazy how good that does at that price point. This is a little bit off axis, so you can't see me talking, but I think there's definitely more detail in the AI than the Ultra, but you would expect at the price difference. Where I'm seeing the difference is if you look over here at Adrian's desk over here in the dark shadows, that's resolving more stuff there. I can kind of see it in this one, but I can definitely see it in this one. We're pixel peeping pretty deeply at that point. I don't know that there's a lot in it. As far as the G4 Dome and the G5 Dome Ultra go, also both nice options. I mean, that really, this is an old camera here and it does a really good job. That's why we have so many G4 Domes out there. Obviously, it doesn't compete at all with these cameras, but just as a kind of a baseline. The G5 Dome Ultra also does well. If somebody was robbing the place and walking in, I think everybody would be able to recognize them. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to have Daniel walk in front of the AI turret because it has the party trick of doing the nut color night vision. So when he comes in the field, you're going to see it's going to turn on and you're going to now see him in color. And it looks really good. There's not a lot of ghosting. I mean, obviously he's presenting himself to that, but anywhere in the room that he goes, it's got a pretty good image of that. So if you have a higher security area and you aren't afraid to, present the light to everybody, I think this is definitely worth the choice over the dome. I think the dome is going to look prettier, especially if it's in a recess mount. But the turret is going to give you this AI night vision, which I think is going to be a factor above what the dome can do.
Hello. Testing, testing, testing. Normal voice, audio.
You can see the audio inside of the AI turret is really good, much better than it is outside for all of them. I'm going to go over to the AI dome and show you the difference there.
Hello, test, hello. Hello, test. Hello, hello.
I think either of those would be fine. The AI turret definitely does have better audio though than the AI dome, and that's just the enhanced array light there. You can also see that the color night vision enhancer. The other cameras see that same cast there. For me, I think the clarity of the turrets is better than the domes, and I think that's just inherently to them. I think that the fit and trim of the domes looks better, especially during the day. If you have an area where you want the color night vision, I think the AI turret is definitely your option there. As long as you're okay with the light coming on, it also obviously would help deter an intruder, but I think that it is the clear winner for me. So how would I do it? In this room where I have 4 cameras, I would probably do one AI turret where I wanted to get the recognitions. That's where people would be walking towards it all the time, and I knew I could get those facial recognitions. The other 3 cameras in here, I probably would do either a Turret Ultra or a Dome Ultra because I think I could save the money and get a more than adequate view with that camera. Another nice thing about the AI turret, if you use it in a room like this, its light is going to light up for all the other cameras. So you could have 1 or 2 of them in here, and it probably would make the other ones have good color night vision as well. So summary of that. At the end of the day, I would choose based on the way I want it to look as far as the mounting options go, recessed versus, the turrets. Then I would choose probably the turret with the night vision as the spot where I was doing facial recognitions, or a dome in the area where I was doing the facial recognitions. And then I would pepper in either turrets or domes, depending on your budget and your aesthetic needs. All right, so with the magic of YouTube, it's the next night. Please excuse my view here. I've moved some of the cameras inside, but I wanted to show the AI turret's color night vision capabilities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Daniel walk out real quick and walk in front of the camera and show you guys what happens when you get motion detection on the AI turret when you have color night view turned on. So you can see it immediately saw him and it turned on, and now we've got a really nice image of Daniel. So it grabbed his face there. Obviously, you would want to put that in the spot where people are walking in and they're going to present their face to you. But you can see at night, it identified his face without much issue. Just for giggles, we'll have him go back inside again and we'll trigger it with the AI Pro with the image enhancer. So pretty similar detection zone. We'll have Daniel going, walking. It's got your distance, obviously, because you have radar in the AI Pro. In about the same distance, it recognized the face. Without splitting hairs there, I think that's a pretty similar performance between the two of them. So one thing that everybody's been asking me is about the micro SD card storage. It does work. I tried it with a couple different cards. Both worked for me. When you take the card out and put it in your card reader, it basically tells you the day, and you go in there, click on the day. I've only obviously been testing it today, but then it gives you the time. And so you can just click on any one of those and it will just fire up and show you a video of that time frame. Simple, pretty easy. Obviously, if you had to go through it in a disaster, it's there. A couple more things about it when you go to the actual camera itself. Sorry, I've got this one upside down on the test bench right now. But anyways, if you go to manage on that card, it's going to give you the options for events only, continuous, high quality, low quality, and to reformat the storage. You can also click on unmount the SD card, which obviously is going to mount the SD card or removing it to prevent any data loss or corruption. So pretty cool, pretty easy to manage there. Works as I would have expected it to. One quick other thing there, I'm going to go into the storage card requirements here. It does say Samsung Evo Plus. I've got a Samsung Evo in there right now. I probably would stick with their recommendations there. Obviously, they're SD cards, so it probably doesn't matter. But one of the things there is it does say it needs to be a minimum of 64 gigabytes. So anyways, in here it tells you the storage amount, utilization, capacity, how many days and hours it's going to be, if it's on events only or if it's in high quality. Pretty much works as you would expect it to work, pretty cut and dry. Nice feature added for sure if you do lose your NVR for a moment, or you're doing an update, or it just goes online. You are going to have quite a bit of extra storage. This is a 256 card in here, and I'm getting 8 days and 5 hours of storage. So that would be more than enough to hold me over in any sort of interruption. All right, so that was a ton of information. I'm gonna do a quick summary really quickly. I'm really excited to have these added to the lineup. I think probably for me, my favorite of the two of these is going to be the AI turret, simply because the enhanced night vision and the microphone array. I think tip it a little bit. I also just really like the turret form factor. So for me, I think that's the way I would go. Inside, I think the AI dome is a great option now if you need face detection. It also is built really well. If you do want to put it outside, I would have no problem with doing that. I think the weather protection shade at $29, I think that would be a nice option as well. For me, like I said, I think I'm going to put it under the awning at my front door. It's tamper proof. It's going to get everybody's face detections as they walk in. I think it's a good spot there. My other takeaway, just in general, is what a great value the Ultra line is. The Ultra Dome and the Ultra Turret are just really good cameras, and I, just reiterate to myself that I think the Ultra Turret may be my favorite camera. If it was me, and I've said this before in here, I probably would pepper in an AI turret here and there where I wanted the detections. Same thing with the AI Dome, and then the rest of them I would do with the Ultra line and be able to kind of mix and match. The other takeaway is the AI Pro still has its place. It's not being unseated by either of these cameras. Very similar image quality. It gets the zoom, it gets the image enhancer with the floodlight and all that good stuff. I think all three of these, and really ultimately all five of those cameras, are really good options for everybody out there. That pretty much covers everything I can think of, but obviously I will miss some things. So if you have any questions or anything else you want us to test or comments, please put them in the description down below. I do answer all of those. And as always, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.